In this video, I want to show you my lighter take on stuffed flounder. Built around simple spinach filling, it's clean, it's got balanced flavors, and it doesn't feel very heavy. It's the kind of dish that feels a little elevated but still fits into a real home cooking and actually tastes as good as it looks. For the full ingredient list, check the description box below, but enough talking, let's get cooking. Let's take a look at our fish. So this is just regular supermarket flounder. One thing I like about flounder is that it's wild-caught seafood and it's not very expensive compared to other wild-caught versions. One thing I like to do before I season the fish is check the fish for small bones, and you usually see the bones on the edges. Here, I'll just try to pull them with my hands and remove any type of bone fragments, because there's nothing worse than eating a nice delicate piece of fish and finding the bones or a piece of bone in there. So I'll just take my hands and just run it along the fish and transfer them over to the container that I'm going to season them in. If you do have any that need the knife out, like right here, this little piece right here, I'm just gonna drag my knife tip right along the edge of it and pull it off. I said that I'm not gonna have to take out the pliers. Here I am with the pliers because this piece got a really big piece of bone in it. Look at that. Imagine getting that inside your mouth like while you're eating. Nobody wants that. So take the time and just check each piece. And your eyes will never really see them. You gotta check them with your hand. All I'm doing is just running my finger along the edge and along the middle where the spine is. So we're gonna season the fish really simply. We're gonna use a little of my base seasoning. This is a blend of garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And then I also like to put a little of this blackened or blackening seasoning. This one's called blackened seasoning. This is from a brand called Daddle Hook Ya. I think they make this specifically for fishermen, by fishermen. It's a really good blackening seasoning, and I've been digging it, so I wanted to share that with you. So this is a great brand. So let's take a little of the blackening seasoning. We'll throw that on top, and same thing with some of my base seasoning. We're gonna take a little olive oil, drizzle it over the top. And now I'm just gonna go in there with my hands and just mix the fish with the seasoning and just get all the fish well coated. Now that our fish is seasoned, I'm gonna let it sit out because one, I want the spices to bloom on here, just release some of their flavors. We also want the fish to come up a little closer to room temperature. It rolls a little bit better and it cooks a little bit better when it's not cold. You are looking at all the prep we're gonna need for this dish. We gotta mince up some garlic and chop up some parsley, and that's it. So with our garlic, give it a little pop, a little roll in our hand, and we'll remove the skin from the garlic. And I'm always gonna give my garlic disclaimer. If you need to tone up or tone down the garlic for this recipe based upon your taste and dietary preferences, you go ahead. But here I'm using, what do I got here? 6 big cloves of garlic. So I like my flounder super garlic heavy. I always get a question, if you see the little shoot coming out of the garlic, do you use that? 95% of the time, yes, I am using it, especially in a recipe like this where the garlic mixes in with the spinach. You really don't see everything. So am I gonna use this? 100%. You know, we live in tough economic times right now where food is expensive, and I don't care if it's the shoot off of a garlic. If it doesn't change the flavor of a dish in like a super negative way, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it as is. You know, I buy garlic and it sits out, and you know, sometimes it's gonna sprout even when it's stored well. So if you got a little shoot hanging out of the garlic and you think that's gonna stop you from using it, I would rethink how you're treating your food ingredients. I assume I'm talking to somebody who's cooking at home. You're not cooking in a restaurant. Consistency doesn't matter as much. Obviously you want all your food to taste good and you want it to all be consistently good, but you gotta use what you got and throw out as little as possible. That's just my personal preference. So here I'm gonna cut off the root end of each one of these cloves. And if I wanted to, like let's say I did want to remove this, it's really simple. You just break open the clove of garlic, pull out the little shoot, and then you're just left with the nice meat of the garlic. But I don't really think we need to do that. I just can chop it all up and it'll be fine. Or you can smash it and also pull it out here. Or you could just smash it and leave it in. So now I'm just gonna keep running my knife over this garlic until we get a nice fine mince on this. And let me know in the comment section what you do when you see a garlic shoot inside your garlic. Do you take it out? Do you leave it? I've seen people throw the garlic out like it's bad. I don't know about you, but I'm not throwing any stuff that I paid for in the garbage unless it's actually like rotten and bad. But I think there's too much of this perfect produce kind of situation, especially with social media, that people don't want to use anything that doesn't look absolutely perfect, but that's kind of unrealistic. So now let's take our minced garlic, we'll add it to a little container. Clean up our cutting board and chop our parsley. So now the parsley, we're just gonna use as a garnish. I already have some parsley chopped up, but I always like to show all the steps in my recipe videos because they're not just recipes. I like to make more of like a cook-along style where I'm gonna show you a little bit of everything. I don't wanna just show you, you know, oh, hey, let me show you the main stuff and then all of a sudden I got this parsley magically chopped up, because then when I watch people actually cook, it's this stuff that becomes the limiting factor. So just like the garlic, I'm just gonna take my knife, I'm gonna chop it over the top of the parsley, and I'll keep pushing the pile together. Another thing you could let me know is, like, do you like when I show all these little steps that are common and they're a little repetitive? I do this in many videos where I show how to chop the parsley. I want you to be cooking alongside with me. I hope that maybe I'm on an iPad or a TV in the kitchen while you're making this and we're making it together. And if that's the case, I shouldn't be just showing up with chopped parsley at the end of the video. And then you're like, oh, I didn't know. I forgot to chop the parsley. Then you gotta take your cutting board back out. You gotta take your knife back out. And now let's take a look at the spinach. We're gonna use this whole bag of 1 pound baby spinach, and we're just gonna season it with salt, pepper, and saute some of that garlic, and that's it. I'm heating this pan up over a medium-ish heat. I'm gonna add a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil and that garlic that we minced up. Now here we want the garlic to saute a little bit, but we don't wanna burn it. So you don't want too hot of a pan. We just wanna cook the rawness out of the garlic. Let's cook this for 30 to 45 seconds and then add our spinach. Remember, garlic can go from raw to burnt really fast, so don't turn your back on it. After about 30, 45 seconds, the garlic is starting to cook. It hasn't browned yet, so we're still good. I'm gonna take just a little bit of the spinach and put it inside with the garlic and give it a little mix. And the reason I'm doing this is once the spinach starts mixing with the garlic, it'll start to release the water, and then the garlic has no chance of burning. If you put all the spinach in, a lot of the garlic's just gonna sit at the bottom, and it may continue to cook and possibly even burn. So just by doing this and just mixing up some of the spinach with the garlic that's already cooked in there, stops that burning from happening. So now just the spinach has started to wilt a little bit. I'm gonna take the whole bag and I'm gonna put it in there, and it's gonna look like way too much spinach, but spinach is mainly water, so it cooks down so fast. And if you want to, you could just do this in batches and just keep wilting the spinach, and then as it shrinks back, adding a little bit more until you got the whole pound in there. And like when you're cooking with spinach, especially when you're cooking it down, it should almost look like way too much spinach. Wait till you see this finished, how little there's gonna be inside this pan. Once the spinach has shrunk back enough that it looks like a reasonable amount and it's not overflowing out of the pan, we're gonna season with a little salt and some fresh ground black pepper. We'll just give this a toss and continue to cook until all of the spinach looks very cooked, looks nice and soft, doesn't look like leaves anymore, but it looks like cooked spinach. So once the spinach is pretty cooked, what I like to do is spread it around the pan just so we can get as much moisture out of this as possible. We're gonna give this a little squeeze after we're done cooking, but if we could pull some water out just through cooking it, that's gonna be a little bit better. So we don't wanna overcook the spinach. So once the spinach looks fully cooked, we don't see any more big leaves, we're gonna shut it off the heat. Now we're gonna take our spinach and we're gonna put it inside this sieve. We wanna squeeze out some of the water. I've seen people do this in a kitchen towel. That kitchen towel is gonna be green forever. This is the easiest way to do it, is just put it in a sieve like this and then just give it a little squeeze. I'm just gonna use a fork just to squeeze out the moisture. The spinach is still gonna have like a lot of moisture in it. So if we put this inside the fish, it's just gonna release too much liquid. So let's see if we can reduce some of that liquid by just giving this just a little bit of a push and draining off some of that liquid. And it doesn't need to be crazy dry, it just can't be full blast wet. Once it's about dry enough and we got most of that liquid out of there, we're gonna take the spinach and we're gonna add it to a bowl. Well, what do you do with the liquid after? Honestly, what I do is I drink this because it just tastes like yummy spinach seasoned olive oil water. It's like quite good. It's like a little bit of like a little spinach soup. This is what's referred to as the chef snack. You're not gonna serve this, but it sure is good. To finish off our spinach filling, we're gonna add a little pecorino romano, or you can also use some Parmesan cheese and some seasoned panko breadcrumbs. So let's put some breadcrumbs in there, not too much. And the same thing with this pecorino romano cheese. You know, I don't know where the Italians got the cheese doesn't go with fish. In my opinion, cheese goes with fish just fine, especially like lighter fishes like flounder, cod. They taste fantastic together, so I'm not down with the whole no cheese, no fish rule. That's not a rule for me. So here, I'm gonna give this a mix. I almost missed one thing that I like to do. So when the spinach is a little large, it doesn't mix well and make a filling. So I'll just take a knife and I'll just run it through the mixture just a couple of times just to cut it up. And I like to do this now instead of before because the spinach releases so much moisture when you cut it up like that. And it's also hard to cut up that whole pound of spinach. You saw how much there was like when it was raw. So, you know, when you put it inside the bowl that you're gonna mix with, just take your knife and just run it alongside the spinach just to cut it up a little bit, just so the pieces are just a little small. And that's totally an optional step, but it just makes filling it and eating it just a little bit better. So now to roll the fish, we gotta get a good setup. So we got our mixture, we have our seasoned fish, we got a nice area to work, and we got our baking dish that they're gonna go in. One thing I like to do is keep the butter light in this dish. So in order to get like a little bit of butter flavor without throwing giant chunks of butter, I just like to take a little knob of butter and grease my baking dish with it. So this is gonna allow me to add a nice butter flavor without adding gobs and gobs of butter. Because you can add butter to flounder and it'll taste really good. But if I just take a little bit and I just rub the inside of the baking dish, it's gonna give me that nice butter flavor without having to put, you know, crazy amounts of butter in here because I really want the olive oil to be the main cooking fat. Now let's go over how to roll the flounder. So the flounder is gonna have two sides. It's gonna have the side on the inside that was on the inside of the fish and this side. You could see this side is where the scales of the fish were, that it's a little bit smoother. The inside's gonna be a little rougher. So we're gonna take the smooth side and put it up. So that's gonna be the inside of the roll. It's gonna allow the fish to roll a little easier, a little tighter, and I think it just looks a little bit better. So let's take a couple of pieces and spread them out. And the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm always gonna place the thicker side. So like if you look at each piece of fish, it's got a thinner side and a thicker side. The thicker side is gonna go to me because we're gonna roll from thick to thin. And so now I'll take a spoonful of my mixture and we'll just add it to each one of the pieces. And we don't want to overstuff it, but at the same time we don't want to be skimpy. And bigger pieces might get a little bit more, smaller pieces might get a little bit less. And you got to make sure that you get all the way to the end and every piece got some. So really simply, I'll take the thicker part, I'll roll it over, and we'll just roll it. And the seam side down is going to go right inside the baking dish. Now, before we put this in the oven, we're gonna put a few things on top. Here, I'm gonna add a little dry white wine. I like to just use cheap, drinkable wine for cooking. So this is just like a bottle like leftover from a party that we had a couple months ago. It's the best stuff to cook with. I would never use a cooking wine that like you would buy in the supermarket. So whatever wine that you're gonna use, make sure that it's like somewhat drinkable. Let's say you didn't wanna do this like alcohol free, I would just use a little lemon juice instead of the wine. But I'm gonna take a little of this dry white wine and I'm gonna sprinkle it just right over the top, really loosely, just a tablespoon or two. Now that same Pecorino Romano cheese that went on the inside, we're gonna put a little bit on the outside. Same deal with our breadcrumbs, so just a light sprinkle on top. I don't want this to be too breadcrumb heavy. I'm just trying to give a little texture, a little color, a little flavor to the top of this. Now we're gonna add a little smoked paprika. And I'm just gonna sprinkle this just really lightly right over the top, and I really don't wanna overdo it. So just a little bit on each piece. Nice and high, so as it falls, it's spreading out really nicely. Try not to make the mistake dumping the paprika on top. And now before this goes in the oven, just a light drizzle of some olive oil on top. So now this is gonna go in a 400-degree oven for about 10 to 12 minutes, and then we're gonna hit it with the broiler on the top to get everything nice and brown for about 2 to 3 minutes after that initial 10 to 12 minute cook time. So let's get this in the oven, and then we're gonna hit it with the broiler. So when you're setting up your oven, get a rack about 6 to 8 inches away from the broiler and put the fish right on there. So then when we hit it with the broiler, it's already in a good position for that. So let's let this cook for about 10 to 12 minutes. So now after about 10 or 12 minutes, I'm gonna turn a broiler on, and I'm gonna put it just like a little low. This broiler's got like a temperature thing, so I'm gonna knock it down to like 450, which is probably low if you have like a high-low broiler. And I'm just gonna turn that on for about 2 to 3 minutes to finish this dish. Look how amazing that looks. 10 to 12 minutes in the oven. This was in the broiler for 3 minutes. The top looks beautiful. The fish looks cooked. You can see the nice juice that's collected inside the pan. So that's gonna be that mixture of the butter that we put in there, the wine, the liquid that's released out of the fish and out of the spinach. It's not green too, so we know we squeezed out enough out of the spinach. So now let's just take some of that parsley that we cut up before and just give that a sprinkle on top and bring this dish home. Now look how amazing that this flounder looks. Looks like it was made in a restaurant and cost $25.95 for just one plate. But here we are. This looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm letting the fish cool down a little bit. Let's cut some lemon wedges. Remember, whenever you're cutting lemon wedges to serve, never cut the lemon longwise. You cut it in half first, and then take the lemon, put it down this way, and then this is where you'll cut your wedges. You take any of the seeds and you remove those, but you can see them clearly, and it's got that really nice pizza pie shape. So let's grab one of these pieces of fish. Now look how amazing this looks. It cooked so easily. It smells fantastic. I can't wait to try this. And now to serve this with a nice wedge of lemon. So if we cut into this, now look how amazing that just cut right open, just like butter. But before we try it, let's take a little of that lemon juice just on top. Really make the flavors pop in here. My mouth is watering. This is gonna be an epic bite. That is so good. It's light, it's fresh. It was pretty easy. This tastes like the seafood that you want to make at home, but you're probably a little scared to make it because you don't think it's going to come out as good as the restaurant. But this is so easy and so simple, and really highlights how amazing flounder can be. Flounder's generally not considered top tier fish. Nobody's talking about flounder everywhere, but at home cooking, flounder is king, because this is so good. One of the best parts about this is how light it is. It's not fried. It's not drowning in butter. You could eat this on a Tuesday and feel pretty good about yourself. Like you're not gonna need that seafood nap after. But this is absolutely delicious. I'm gonna eat another one of these pieces of fish. It was that good. If this is your first time here on my channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop me a comment, let me know what you thought about the video. If you make the recipe, let me know how it came out. And if you're into nice fish dishes that are lean, delicious, and easy, check out my poke bowl recipe. That is a really awesome recipe. It has a great format for meal prep, weeknight cooking, and it's delicious, easy fish. I will see you there. Thanks.